All right, thank you. I hope everybody's doing great, having an enjoyable summer, and I just want to say once again, thank you for what you do. You know, I sincerely mean that. You know, you do a lot to elevate this great game we have. It's at an all-time high, the popularity and the interest, and appreciate you and the work that you do. A little fewer numbers in here, so you got to talk to your colleagues about getting out and working, man. You know, they're just going to be watching this and writing everything. So, no, thank you. You know, not only what you do to elevate the game, but also the stories that you tell about our players. I think our players have been in here already, or hopefully you'll get a chance to spend some time with them. 3 amazing guys with us here today, and you know, just I'm happy they're representing the University of Kentucky. Really looking forward to this year. I know, you know, we have a lot to prove. You know, we didn't have a very good year last year, and we understood that and addressed that and want to move past it, that's for sure. And excited about this group and the work that they're doing and the commitment that they have to each other, not only being good players, but being good teammates and attacking it the way we need to. So I'll open it up.
We'll go on the back row on the left, then come up 1 seat after that.
Coach Dan Peck, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. How did you land on these 3 players being the right guys to take to media days?
Well, one of the reasons, I mean, not the only reason, but they're 3 very good football players. They're three very good leaders. They're 3 guys. One of them's graduating. One of them will graduate in December, and another will graduate next May. But they've been in our program 4 years. They're good football players. They're great leaders. They're great representatives of the University of Kentucky. So they embody everything that we're looking for, and I'm proud to bring them.
AP?
Hey, good morning, Coach. AP Stedham, AP as we see it. Coach, what is the best way you found when you're bringing in the transfer quarterback? Because it's such an important position, how do they make that transition with your program?
Yeah, I think, you know, with this one, you know, it was important with Zach. The nice thing is we had a lot of tape. He had success in this league and won some, you know, quality football games, and then has many other reps under his belt in Incarnate World. And so a lot of experience. I felt like we needed that. You know, I wanted to make sure, you know, we had a guy that had some reps under his belt. I also, you know, love the fact that he's a 6-year guy, and we have a very talented young one on our campus in Cutter Boley. And so, you know, while Cutter's developing and coming along, you know, I thought it was important to have experience on the other end.
Right side, back row.
Hey, Coach. Steve Molton, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Again, I had a chance to visit with Alex here in the room. Impressive young man. But if you could speak to his development and what led you from, you know, moving him up, he's a good-looking player, to linebacker from DB.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, a couple of things about Alex. First of all, he moved to the United States from Ghana. You know that situation. Did you hear about the story when he, you know, so he moved here, and then he was in middle school, and he saw a sign up to go play football. So he signed up, and he went and played football, and he wondered what was going on with this, you know, with this oblong ball. He was looking for the soccer ball. He thought he was signing up to go play soccer. And so that's how he got introduced to American football, and the rest is history. And another great point about him, to your point, you know, when I recruited him, I wasn't sure that he couldn't play corner. And that's what I loved about him. I knew he could be a safety or a hybrid, you know, and then he just grew. And so he, you know, I thought maybe he could be a cornerback, then safety. Then he moved to a little hybrid position, a walk away, kind of a low, you know, low safety, hybrid nickel outside backer guy. Did that and did an amazing job with that for a year. And then we moved him inside, and he really probably exceeded my expectations in year 1. The way he played inside, he really picked it up extremely well, and very proud of the way he played. And then, you know, he's just a great young man, great leader. He's committed to us, and so, yeah, it's a great story.
Right side, third row.
Coach, Harrison Reno, UJSports.com. The last few years, y'all have gone to Lexington, or had Georgia go to Lexington. Y'all given them some of their toughest games. What is it about y'all's performance at home that just hasn't quite translated to when y'all go to Stanford Stadium like y'all will in October?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on that. As you know, I think any coach will tell you, that you go on the road in the SEC, it's just a different environment. It's very challenging. And I think there's some plays, some explosives that have happened, certainly the last time we went there, and they just kind of took off from that and really, took it to us and played very well at home. And so I think some explosive plays and off to a good start and just moving it. But, they're a good football team. They're one of those teams that you're holding on every time because of the playmakers that they have on both sides of the ball. They could wreck you, and they're well coached and they're always dialed in. So just great respect for them. It's always going to be tough. It's always going to be physical, and they certainly have their playmakers. So that's the closest we've played them in a while. We've had a couple good games with them, but we had an opportunity and just fell a little short. And credit to them. I mean, when you're a great team, you're going to have to win some close ones. All of us are.
On the aisle in the middle.
Mark, this is the first time in a while that your front seven has, some holes and some question marks, and your back four is established. Seems like through the years it's been the other way around. How do you feel about the development defensively of that front seven?
I really feel pretty good about it. I feel like we have a lot of bodies, up front. Tavion was a guy last year. Josiah wasn't healthy last year. Tavion wasn't healthy last year. Of course, we get David, from Washington State. That's a great player inside. You got McKeith on the edge. You have Gerard, Smith, second year growing and getting better in the program. You add Cam Old, Sam Green. I feel like there's a lot of bodies there. So I really feel like we're in pretty good shape. I think I mentioned it in the other room, but Khalil is a guy that's really stepped up. He's been much more consistent than he's ever been. He's been a better leader. So I just like the group as a whole. I really do. I love their attitude, their work ethic. I think Coach Anwar Stewart has done an amazing job with them. I really do. I think they have a really good group. They're a cohesive group. They're unselfish. We play a lot of bodies, and we're going to need that. That was different than a year ago. We had two or three going into the year that we hurt in the spring that we couldn't even, it hurts the way you practice, and not making excuses, but it's like, you get a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you do goal line situations, you do full rep, and I had to kind of hold my breath and not do it as much as we normally did in the spring before. We didn't even tackle because we were down all the D linemen. And then even last fall, prior to the season, I probably didn't handle it well enough. You know what I mean? I probably should have just went at it with the guys we had, but if we lost another body or two, we were going to be in a really bad shape. I feel like we've rectified that situation. I feel like there's bodies. I feel we're healthy, and so hopefully that'll translate.
Right side, 4th row.
Hey, Coach. I really don't want to do an age joke, but you've been here a minute. And in terms of player evaluation and now with the portal, is this more kind of, I know even every class is not equal, but of maybe tweaking your formula a little bit of when to be portal heavy, when to be high school heavy. Yeah. How do you handle that? Yeah,
I definitely think you have to adjust. Look at us this year. Did I just said it in the other room? 26. I want to say 26 transfers we had, and so 13 of those transfers have starting experience. 8 of them have Power 5, experience. So yes, tweaking, changing, altering each and every year for sure. As I mentioned, I don't necessarily think we want to do that every year, right? Where you have that many, but for this year, I think it was needed. I think the fresh faces, the experience that they brought in, the attitude, the leadership, I think that's very important. That we have the continuity on the staff, with the coordinators in place, and so, I think it's a fresh mix. It's definitely different, and you have to alter, what you do each and every year. I think it's at times going to be an inexact science. We try to do the best we can. But I definitely can speak for this group, and I feel very good about this group, certainly about the people they are, their work ethic, their commitment to each other, the teammates that they are, and the experience that they have. I mean, we are far from perfect, as you know, but I love the group.
Left side, front row.
Hey, Coach. Jacques Doucet, WAFB in Baton Rouge. Coming to this event, I remember some entertaining exchanges with you and Bob Hol, the sports writer that would come here every year, and he unfortunately passed away. you have any memories of coming here and chatting with him and just your thoughts on him?
Absolutely. I mean, just what a wonderful man, and just a ton of respect for him, as I mentioned to all of you. But Bob was, if I'm not mistaken, he might have been the first one, every time, with me. I don't know how he was with every other coach, but more than likely he was the first one with all them. But he was just so much fun to be around, and just a ton of respect for his work. And I'm sad that he's gone. My prayers are with his family. I can't say that I knew him personally very well, but I think he's definitely one of those people, what you see is what you get. And he seemed like a genuinely just good person that had a job to do. And, so I definitely miss him, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Left side, back row, then pass it left.
Coach, you mentioned how active your team's been in the transfer portal. Are there any methods that you rely on when you're evaluating whether or not a transfer would be a good fit, both on the field and in the locker room?
Well, I think all of us, have a fine balance there. I think each of us have talked about it. It's an expedited process, right? So we have to do as much as we can with getting as much information as we can quickly. Hopefully you have contacts that were on that staff, the people that were there. Fortunately, being the old guy, as we alluded to earlier, you have a lot of contacts, a lot of friends, and people within the, that you try to reach out to and get some background on them. I think when they're on campus, you better dive into it pretty quick. You better, really spend some time with them. And then I think it's really important for the players to spend time with them, for the players to feel whether they're the support, the type of fit that we need. I don't, again, admitted, it's not going to be perfect. We try the best we can. But again, going back to what I said earlier, I really feel great about the guys that we hit on. I think we were ranked in the top 10 with whatever that means, with talent and with guys. But I love the people that they are and the energy that they play with and the commitment that they have to their teammates. And so that part of it excites me.
Middle, back row.
Nose here's an LEX18. One of those transfers that has been talked about by Josh and Jordan is Dave Gusta from Washington State. What kind of just presence does he bring, not only physically, but adding to that defensive line and run-stopping capabilities?
Yeah, David is a guy that has a ton of experience, a ton of starts under his belt, and he's very disruptive. One thing that we all love, any defensive coach, and I think we can all appreciate it, is a guy that has a high motor. The intensity that he plays with and his ability to disrupt plays. So David's been a absolute welcomed addition. I love everything about him, and he plays hard, he works hard, he cares. So he stands for all the right things.
Two final questions on the end and then on the aisle here.
Coach, here's Reno again. I know everybody's probably asked you about it at some point this week, so I'm going to add to it. With the House revenue, the revenue sharing agreement now in place, I know it's still very early in the process. One, have you seen any changes in terms of demands from players? And then two, how did you and your staff go about changing the way you operate in terms of, hey, now we have to operate within a cap? Or do you feel like, I know some people are talking about people are not operating within the cap?
Well, the House settlement, yes, I'm very excited about that. I love the cycle that we're in right now. A lot of us had quite a few recruits, on our campus in May and June, and that excites me about what can happen moving forward. I think we all have to be patient. We all want it to work. Let's be honest. In our group, in the SEC, there's guys here like. It's competitive. It's ultra competitive. But I really genuinely believe that everybody in our room wants to make that work. And for the sustainability, for the good of our sport, I think it needs to happen. We will see. I think there's a few outliers that us as a coaches want to see what happens, how this is happening, and what's going on. Because I truly believe that the coaches in our room are operating under the same standards. For a person like me with resources the way they are, that excites me. That we could, be somewhat on a level playing field. And so hopefully that'll happen. And we're cautiously optimistic that it will happen. And what was the second part of that?
How have you gone about changing I guess, how you
Well,
approach it.
I think you change, first of all, you have to have a budget, you know what I mean, and slot it, you know what I mean, and, you're not going to be absolutely perfect to those things. You may give and take in certain spots, but I think just being strategic in that will be helpful.
One quick, and we got to go.
Mark, through the years here and back home, we've heard you described as a player's coach, and you were a player once upon a time and obviously now a coach. What does that mean, and what does that mean to you to hear yourself described that way?
Well, I think the first thing it means is relationship. I think everybody, every coach, everybody's a player's coach to some extent. I mean, these guys, these gentlemen that are here, these coaches that are in front of you, they all connect with their players, and I certainly do, and I want to, and I always have. It's extremely important to me to have strong relationships with the players. It's obviously hard because you have so many people in your organization coming and going and all that, but it's still most important. And they have to trust you, and part of that is being and leaning on them and being hard on them when you can. In this day with the portal and with NIL and everything everybody talks about, how does it affect you? It can't. To me, it can't. If we have to, it's my job to hold them accountable, to make sure they're doing the right things. And, if they're a great one, then they want that. They want to, be disciplined when they have to. But I also think just having them be a player-led team, giving them the resources to make sure to develop them to be great leaders, to be a player-led team. And so we do many different things to try to connect with them. But I'm glad they feel that way. I always want to be that way and be connected with them. But there's also a time when you have to be heavy-handed as well.
Coach, as always, great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Thank you.